He's back. Welcome to Covers His Puck Props with a man, Carlo Colaiacovo, 14-year NHL pro, and a man who's been riding the teacups constantly. How was the vacation, pal?
Yeah, it wasn't. People call it the happiest place on earth. It's probably should be called the most exhausting place on earth, not the happiest place on earth. But spectacular time with the family.
Did you rent a rascal to drive around?
No, we didn't. We actually had a big Yukon Suburban. So.
Oh, okay. Just driving through the park in the Suburban.
Oh
okay.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Mowing them down. Let's go.
I almost rented one of those, like those electric scooters.
Yeah.
The wheelchair ones. Yeah, because my back was a disaster. But anyways, we're back.
40-year-old men look really cool driving those, by the way.
Yeah. Very
all
good.
right, all odds coming via Sports Interaction. Let's go. 4 or 5 game slate as I jump back. 4-game slate here today. Seattle, Edmonton. Let's keep riding the Oilers here. Evander Kane over 0.5 points. A little juice, minus 135, but seeing some minus 150s out there. He's playing with Hyman, who has four goals over his last 2 games, including a hat trick versus the same Seattle team 2 games ago. Draisaitl, who had 4 points in the last game and looks more motivated. Chris Knobloch wanting to probably lean on his top lines a little more to continue that momentum from the third period of what's today? Today's Wednesday, of Monday's game. And Seattle, I mean, I'm not in love with them. They're not playing great. Seattle with a 1-game road trip and a 3.83 goals against this month. You were just talking about how much you love Philip Grubauer. 2-parter, pal. How do the Stars of a team react after a coach firing, but not the first game, because that's the easy part?
Yeah.
Do you see this Edmonton team staying focused and staying motivated in game 2 with Knobloch?
Well, as long as they can keep the puck out of their net, yes, absolutely. And I think that's been the biggest issue with this Edmonton team, which is why the coaching change was made. There was a coaching philosophy that was made at the beginning of the season that the old coach Jay Wilcroft wanted to emphasize changing the system to be better defensively. Well, if that's what better defensively looked like, well, then there was clearly something wrong with the message of the team, which is why they made the change. And, you know, I don't know what to take out of the Islander game because they're a team that doesn't produce much offense, but clearly they were better defensively. They got saves from their goaltender and they got timely goals, which ultimately led to a win. Anybody who always has watched sports and to see a change of a coach, they always expect the first game to be a bump. But I think for Edmonton, more than anything, they just have to keep the positive momentum going, regardless of who the coach is. They've won 2 in a row. They have a very favorable matchup against a Seattle team that's really hasn't been able to gain any or follow up any of the positive momentum that they built off of last year, where they upset the Colorado Avalanche in the first round and went to 7 games in the second round. They've looked horrible off the start. And so for Edmonton, you know, I know the feeling of being in a room where you're hearing the outside noise of something potentially happening with your team and you're just there. You're trying to focus on playing, but you're always, your second focus is always wondering what's going to happen. You're walking on eggshells. You're on your toes, you know, wondering, is somebody going to get traded? Is the coach going to get fired? Well, all that stuff's done now. You heard the players talk about how surprised they were and how, you know, some of them weren't happy with it. But at the end of the day, the decision was made. The guys in, they looked like a team with a new energy to them, and they have to find a way to continue that moving forward. And the only way you can do that is go out and play. Really. Just go out and play. You know how to play the game of hockey. Go out and convert on the power play. Go out and score goals and go out and keep the puck out of your net. Simple recipe for Edmonton.
I'm saying get some Darnell Nurse shot on goal. Seattle 3rd worst versus D shot on goals. I believe Nurse played a healthy 20-plus minutes in that first game. Interesting to see how the minutes are dispersed on the back end. Wouldn't mind hitting Bush for, I believe his over 2.5 is somewhere around minus 120, minus 125. But we're going to go with Kane here. And if you're sweating Kane and the goalie's out, well, then he's going to be the guy to probably bury the empty netter. Nobody in the league buries empty netters at the rate that Evander Kane does. But he's insulated right now. He's on that line with Draisaitl, like I said, and Hyman. Second PP, but still, there's lots to like about his play at 5-on-5 and the guys he's playing with right now. Let's jump over to the second play. Philly, Carolina. This one has a lot of moving pieces. Carolina hasn't been great this year. Let's say that. They haven't been the same Carolina team they've been all year. They've been going through a goalie carousel. Obviously, Freddie Anderson's out. Piotr's in. But let's go Andrei Svechnikov over 2.5 shots on goal, -125 here, seeing some -130, some -135s out there. So the price is right. And this is a guy who leads his team in shot attempts per 60, but he's getting just 34% of those shots on net compared to 50% last year. So he's a little bit unlucky. Top line at home will get the offensive zone matchups with the attacking draw most likely. He's 2 and 5 to the over on this, so we're getting a better price right now. But once he starts hitting the net at a more consistent rate than he is, this should be better. A little more shots coming from him. Now, you've always talked about coming home from the West Coast road trip. Philly just finished up their Cali road trip. They lost to San Jose, which was a bad start, but then they won the next 2 games. I mean, they didn't play till Saturday, so there is some time off. What's the difference between coming home from the West Coast road trip or coming back on the road from a West Coast road trip? Because you don't usually see it often.
Yeah, you normally don't. And it's always easier to come home off the Western road trip, but still be on the road because you're still in somewhat of a groove. You don't have many distractions around the house with family obligations and stuff like that. You're still living in a hotel. Now, I would imagine they came home to Philly and then went back on the road into Carolina, which again creates a different feeling because, you're in the night before, you're getting a good night's sleep, you're getting a pregame nap, you've got the meal set up for you at the hotel. Everything is more structured when you're on the road than when you are at home. Guys don't have to deal with traffic going into the game. So there is a difference when you're talking about coming home from the road and being at home and coming home from the road and still being on the road. So I wouldn't necessarily play that into a factor too much. But for Svechnikov, I'm just looking at his stats right now. He's a guy that missed the early part of the season, recovering from an injury still. Clearly, Carolina has felt the pain of that because they're not scoring goals the way they want to score goals. He's the scoring punch that they're hoping to inject into the lineup, but he's got 0 goals in 7 games that he's played so far. So if you're a guy that's expected to score goals and you've missed the part of the season, the team's looking for you to score goals and you still got a goose egg, what do you think your mentality is going to be when you enter a game where you're probably going to be playing against the backup goalie because Carter Hart's not in the net for the Philadelphia Flyers? Shot mentality, right? So that's why I like this play with Svechnikov, because you got a guy not only is expected to be your goal scorer, but a guy who's still got a goose egg, and the only way you're going to score is by shooting pucks. So that's probably going to be a big emphasis for him and probably be a big message from the coach as a strategy for the team saying, guys, shots, 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 shots.
Yeah, and some of these offensive numbers are a little skewed. Carolina's played 15 games this year and have just played 4 home games, which is a wild schedule. So some of those top-line guys that get that last draw, that get that last change, and the offensive matchup, like I said, in the attacking zone, should help in that situation. So let's go with that. But I'm not running out there to get to buy Carolina at, -280 on the money line here. I think it's overpriced. I think the value's probably on the other side, but I just think the matchup here is good for Svechnikov, and we're getting a little bit that's not priced in, as he's just not hitting the net, but he's shooting as normal. West Coast, I hate to do it, so I'm going to bed before this one. I'll get it in the account. I'm not staying up. You're not staying up.
I'm not staying up tonight.
Islanders, Vancouver. Let's go. Everybody's sick over here. Islanders team total under 2.5. We don't have the benefit of the cough button over here, but maybe we'll get one. Under 2.5 plus 105. We're seeing this move. Saw it as high as plus 110, but the move for Vancouver is big here. How's this for a schedule spot for the Islanders? It's rough. 4 games in 6 days. The Islanders road trip: Edmonton on Monday, Vancouver today, Seattle tomorrow, and then back to Calgary on Saturday. And Vancouver, this is their first game from their East Coast trip, but Demko was out on Sunday, so he'll likely be back today.
Yeah, you talk about Islanders, right? They played their first game on the trip in Edmonton against an Edmonton team that was criticized for giving up a crazy amount of goals, not being able to play defense, and they only mustered one goal. So the Islanders, as they've always been under Lou Lamoriello, have been a team that has struggled to score goals. Now, they're struggling even more to score goals right now. Thankfully, they have one of the league's best goaltenders playing in Everton in Sorokin because he keeps them in games. Well, Vancouver's a team that's surprised a lot of people too, not just because of how many goals that they're scoring, but how good they've been defensively and how good their record has been early on in the season. So this seems like a recipe for an under. It also seems like a recipe for, the Islanders to continue to struggling woes against a good defensive team in Vancouver that's got stellar goaltending for a team that already struggles to score goals. So it's a bad recipe all around.
Yeah, statistically, New York's just not good offensively. Bottom 4 in scoring chances against at 5-on-5. Bottom 10 in PK and power play. And then that moves to bottom 6 on the road. On the road this year, 9 goals, 5 road games for the Islanders. That is piss poor. Edmonton, Boston, Washington, Columbus, Buffalo. I mean, outside of the Boston one, it's not a gauntlet of teams they've had to face. Mm-hmm. Well, on the other hand, Vancouver has allowed 9 goals over 6 home games. Yeah. They are number 1 in goals against at home at 1.5. Sorokin, as you mentioned, he's got 1 regulation win in his last 7 games. Some of that's on the offense, not giving him some support, but 389 goals against and a .900 save percentage over those 7 games. He hasn't been the betting favorite for the Vezina that he entered the season on. So let's go. 4 games, 3 plays. Start things off with Evander Kane over 0.5 points, minus 135 ahead of the market there at Sports Interaction on that price. Andrei Svechnikov over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 125. Again, decent price. Should get good opportunities. Been a little unlucky in his shots on attempt. And then the Islanders. This one should shorten up. I think team total under 2.5. I'd play this to minus 105. I'd actually take whatever one has the better price. Islanders team total under 2.5 or Vancouver 3-way money line, but they're priced similarly. So that one should shorten up. But great to have you back, pal.
Great to be back.
Yeah, you need some rest. Get it in you. We're back Friday at 10 a.m. for more plays on another big slate, and then we'll be back here again on Saturday. I'm Josh Ingles. He's Carlo Colaiacovo. This is Covers Puck Prop. Covers Puck Prop. Come on, Josh. Pull through. Brought to you by Sports Interaction. Lead us out, brother.
Let's stay hot, man. I know you've been hot since I've been gone. Now that I'm back, let's keep it rolling. Ciao.